History Department at Lingnan University Open Day. What I will do here is just basically give a brief introduction to the History Department, and after I've done that, I have the pleasure of introducing one of our history majors who will tell you about her experiences on international exchange in France, and then I will introduce you to a student who is taking an MPhil, Master of Philosophy in the History Department, who will talk to you about postgraduate opportunities here. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer them at the end, but please don't ask me general questions about the university because I don't really know, but I'll try and answer questions about the History Department. Here we are anyway, these photographs a couple of years old, the faculty, the members of staff, and a happy family of history majors behind. Okay, the History Department. We admit about 30 students every year. Now, a student's chances of getting admitted to the History Department will depend on how popular the department is and the number of students who put it as their first choice at the end of the first semester. Because of course, when you enter Lingnan, you enter the arts faculty, for the first year, you aren't enrolled in a specific department. At the end of the first semester, around December, you write down your choice of preference. And obviously, if a department's very popular, then it's more difficult to get into the department. So if more than 30 students apply to history, we will start to look at the students' academic performance in the first semester and also their academic performance in high school. We're also going to be looking for any kind of evidence of an interest in history. So I'm going to stop using this because this one gets in my way. What I want to do now is discuss what our courses are about. Now, although we're talking about history, right, which is going back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we do like to emphasize the modern. So the balance of our courses and the content within a lot of courses will emphasize more recent times over ancient times. And that way we can develop students thinking about today's world. Because history is about the past, it's all over, but it's important we make it relevant to today's world. So students realize that they can learn from the past, but the lessons of the past can be applied in the world today. Another of our approaches is to emphasize themes. We take a thematic approach to history. So instead of saying having the course in each of the different dynasties of Chinese history, a Song Dynasty Chinese course or a Ming Chinese course, we'd rather focus on themes. Although we do some kind of period studies in Chinese history, also of course like history of science and technology in China, history and geography in China, women and children in China. We even have a course on religion in China. But beyond China, we also have a lot of other thematic-based courses. We have the one very recently introduced popular course on human-animal relations in history. You know how humans and animals are interrelated from the beginnings of time until today. We also have courses of world environmental history and a number of others. We both like to focus both on the local with a Hong Kong perspective, but also trying to interrelate Hong Kong to the world generally. So we try to develop one of the strongest Hong Kong history departments programs which is available in the city. And therefore we do a lot of local-based projects which involve interacting with the Hong Kong community. This is particularly seen in two of our courses: cultural interchange between China and the West, and public history. Public history, students might do a study of a new territories village or of a certain street in Hong Kong, or a study of famous individuals in Hong Kong, or a study on museums in Hong Kong. As well as focusing on the local Hong Kong perspective historically, as I said, we try to interrelate that to kind of a global world focus. So we want to sort of study connections between ourselves as citizens of Greater China and of other places in the world. So we have courses that show the connection between China and other places. Again, the cultural interchange course, courses in Chinese-American relations, Western views of China throughout history, and others. Okay, I want to give you a much more practical overview of what you will study if you are accepted as an undergraduate at Lingnan University's History Department. In the first year, of course, as you know, students are just taking a broad kind of liberal arts curriculum, and they haven't yet chosen their major, so there's a whole range of different courses here. But instead they have a chance of taking three electives. And we kind of encourage students who have an interest in history to perhaps try one history course as a free elective to make sure that they really have that interest. Now, the second year, of course, is the first year of actually being a history major. Now, notice that one of the courses here is World History and Civilizations. This is a compulsory course taken by all arts faculty students in the first or second semesters of year 2. So every student, even if you're not a history major, will take this. If you do enter Lingnan, you don't take history, you will at least take this one course, which is a broad overview of history from about the year 1500 until today. We also have two courses here, Historical Ideas and Methods, and Historical Research and Writing, which prepare students for basically writing research papers, doing academic research. Because obviously a lot of students come from high school, they've never really done research, they've never researched on their own, they've never had to write academic papers. So we don't expect you to have that knowledge when you arrive, we give it to you in the first year of your major. So these courses here, 2101 and 2103, do help train and prepare students to do research in history and to write academic essays. Okay, in your third year, there's only one compulsory course. I do say we emphasize more recent times over ancient times. We do think it's also important you have a foundation in ancient history, so there's, of course, in ancient civilizations. There's also 5 history electives, cluster courses, and 3 electives. In the fourth and final year, there's one required course, History of Hong Kong from 1941. But students are also obliged to take something called a Senior Research Seminar. Now, the Senior Research Seminar is a compulsory course which gives students an opportunity to do independent research. And at the end of that research, to produce an 8,000-word paper on a common topic. So maybe 20 students will be studying, I don't know, the French Revolution. All students will then write an 8,000-word essay on the French Revolution, but they'll choose what aspect of the French Revolution they want to study. The content, though, will, every year it will be something different. Students also have the chance, if they want, to take something called the History Direct Research Project. Again, they have to write an independent 8,000-word paper, but in this case, they choose the topic. It will be anything in the history of the world, basically. Okay, so as you can see, though, a lot of it are what we call history electives, where students get a chance to choose courses they want to take. Now, students must take at least one elective from each of 5 categories, because we expect our graduates to have a very broad historical background when they leave Lingnan. You have to take at least one elective from 5 separate categories. Category 1 is comparative civilizations. So we believe if you're studying history, you can't just study Chinese history or Western history, but you also should look at the interrelationships between these civilizations. Compare the experiences of China in history, perhaps, with experiences in Europe in history. You see clashes of civilization, history of various regions which interact with other regions, US-China relations, British Empire, and so on. Category 2 is Hong Kong and Chinese history. As you can see, we have a lot of courses in the field of either Hong Kong or China. And category 3 is non-China Asian history, an important category because in Hong Kong and China have political, cultural, economic relations with countries all around Asia. So it's important sometimes to know the background to these countries, these societies. Category 4 is Western history, so students have to take one course at least in Western history. As you can see, the emphasis is on either Europe or the United States, with a couple of courses on British history and German history, which reflect the interests of faculty members. And finally, we have courses generally thematic or interdisciplinary, where you apply, say, cultural studies approaches to history and so on. Again, human-animal relationships in history, world environmental history, public history, even a cultural history of water. Very kind of interesting, challenging courses. So there you are. That's a kind of a brief overview of the history department at Lingnan. Now, as I said, I've basically finished. I'd like to pass you over to two of our students. The first is Christy, who studied at the ESCA, the School of Management in France, who will share her experiences on international exchange in 2011, right? And again, we'll talk about the opportunities for studying overseas, which happen in one semester of your time at Lingnan. I'm going to pass on to Peter Law, our MPhil student, who originally did his undergraduate, I think, at Baptist University. And he will talk about the opportunities and his experiences doing postgraduate studies in the Lingnan History Department. So I'll pass it over to Peter first, but if I don't get a chance, I'll say otherwise thank you, and enjoy the rest of your visit to Lingnan University's Information Day. And I will be willing to answer questions at the very end. Anyway, so come back. So first of all, I'd like to pass you over to Christy.
Hello， 大家好，咁咧我就係叫 Christy 啦，咁依家讀緊 final year 嘅，咁咧大家睇翻啲中文先。咁咧我上年其實我係喺2年班嘅第2個學期就去咗法國嗰度交流嘅，咁呢班咧就我嘅 international 嘅同學仔啦。咁其實我去嘅地方咧就係叫昂熱啦，咁法文叫安斯。咁其實佢喺法國嘅西部，咁離巴黎咧其實好近嘅啫，得2個小時嘅火車程，咁其實好快就可以去到嘅。咁同埋佢都係一個學生城咯，主要都係俾學生去讀書同埋居住嘅地方。咁我去嘅學校咧，頭先Dr. Smith 都講咗，就係 ESCA 啦 ，School of Management。咁我一個歷史人走咗去讀 management 係咪好奇怪咧？咁其實我係冇得揀嘅。咁因為佢主要咧都係讀緊商科嘅商業嘅科目啦，咁所以大部分都係要讀翻啲關於 business 嘅嘢。咁同埋雖然佢話係大多數都係 business， 咁都有少少係關於 culture 嘅嘢嘅。咁我就揀咗都同Lingnan一樣有5科嘅，咁第一科係 IHRM， 第2科係 Y Marketing， 第3科係 Intercultural Dynamics， 咁最尾係 European Politics and History， 咁最尾就係 French 嘅。咁非常之幸運地有一科History 咧俾我 transfer 到個 credit 翻嚟，咁我就可以喺度讀少一科啦。咁同埋我覺得如果喺嗰度讀書嘅話咧，上堂模式同Lingnan咧大部分都係差唔多嘅。咁但係我覺得有一啲嘅分別就係咧，學生就會比較踴躍啲去發問同埋回答嘅。咁但係我覺得有一樣同我哋Lingnan好唔同嘅就係咧，我哋Lingnan如果你揀咗個時間表，咁你星期一係上呢一堂嘅話咧，咁你下一個星期日都係上翻嗰一堂，咁係固定模式嘅。咁但係我讀呢一間學校咧就其實唔係嘅，因為咧佢係45個小時嘅課程，咁只要係呢個學期完成咗就 OK 㗎。咁所以幾時上堂係由老師編排，咁你要每一日都一定要去 check 翻 email， 睇翻究竟嗰一日有冇堂要上咯。咁我就試過，因為我唔記得 check email 就唔記得咗上堂就走咗嘅。咁大家就唔好學我啦。如果你哋去到嘅時候咧，一定要清楚個時間係要好即係要好留心個時間表咯。咁我去到咧就係住喺一個類似student hostel 嘅地方，咁我係自己一個單人房啦，咁廁所咧就喺我間房嘅裏面嘅，咁就係獨立廁所嚟嘅。 咁但係咧喺個 apartment 嚟嘅，就有分5個房間，即係5個房間就住咗一個人啦，廚房就係一齊用嘅，咁就係都俾翻大家，即係俾翻各位有翻啲私隱啊咁啊。咁平時喺宿舍有咩做咧？其實你自己一個喺外國咧，咁就唯一衣食住行都要自己搞掂嘅，所以我每一日咧都要去煮飯啦、買餸啦，就好似做緊我阿媽做緊嘅嘢咁樣嘅。咁每一日我就煮到好猛陣嘅時候咧，就求其食個包就算啦。咁呢個咧就係我嘅呢兩個咧就我嘅台灣嘅同學嚟嘅，咁都係一齊煮飯啦，煮翻啲啱口味嘅餸啊嘛，係咪先？咁呢個就係我喺宿舍望出去嘅風景啦，其實都係好靚嘅。咁我哋日常生活通常會做啲咩咧？咁就係開 party 啦、踩單車啦、郊遊同都係買餸煮飯。咁其實咧，其實喺香港同喺外國最大嘅分別就係我覺得外國就係多咗好多休閒嘅空間啦，俾我可以去好多唔同嘅活動。咁同埋佢哋真係好中意開 party 嘅，每日都係有 party，每日都飲酒，每日都係去玩去跳舞嘅。咁同埋都認識到好多同學仔啦，一齊去玩，其實都係好開心嘅。同埋如果你去到 exchange 嘅時候咧，我覺得山長水遠去到咁遠，梗係要去多啲地方㗎啦。咁咧就梗係去多啲鄰近嘅國家。咁成個歐洲其實都好接近嘅。咁你搭火車有啲幾個鐘，有啲個幾鐘就可以去到㗎。咁呢啲就係我去其他地方嘅相片啦。咁其實我都有去國內旅遊嘅。咁其實我覺得國內都係值得去嘅，因為佢都係一個。因為如果你講法國嘅話咧，其實都好大，好多地方都係值得去咯。咁但係我覺得如果你去旅行嘅話咧，你一定要非常之清楚同小心地 plan 你嘅行程啦，同埋你要預計翻你自己究竟有幾多個預算咯。因為可能你哋好多地方都好想去晒全部地方，咁其實個個都想去，但係咧要睇翻自己有冇足夠嘅金錢啦，同埋有冇足夠嘅時間咯。咁我哋嘅學校咧其實都好嚴格嘅，因為唔可以俾同學走堂去旅行嘅，咁但係我哋梗係冇聽到嘅，咁所以咧我哋最尾就係俾學校警告我哋唔可以再走堂去玩嘅，所以你要好清楚你嘅時間表，同埋你會唔會影響到你嘅學業咯？因為你其實 exchange 除咗係玩之外，都要去讀書嘅。咁其實我仲想都講翻啦。宿舍咧係一個人，即係我都有同學同我一齊去交流嘅。咁但係咧，我哋就冇選擇住埋一齊喎。點解咧？其實呢個真係非常之正確嘅決定。因為咧，我哋如果喺香港嘅話，就話唔係成日，即係雖然會成日見，但唔會住埋一齊噶嘛。咁如果你去到外國咧，得你哋2-3個人相依為命嘅話咧，其實日對夜對咧，好容易發生摩擦嘅。咁其實我都有少少摩擦同我啲朋友發生咗。咁好彩嘅係我哋就唔係住喺同一個地方，咁所以就可以得到一個緩衝，唔使日日都面阻咗。咁所以我覺得同學可能會想互相依賴，但其實你最主要去到係識多啲朋友，所以就唔會一齊住翻咁咯。咁其實我覺得呢個 exchange 點解要去咧？就係因為既然嶺南咧提供呢個咁好嘅機會俾我哋啦，其實每個同學都有一個機會可以去申請去交流嘅，咁我哋就一定要把握咯。因為我記得我以前有個師兄同我講過，如果你有得去exchange 嘅話，你一定要有咁遠去咁遠咯。冇得去嘅話，大陸你都要去，即係點都要去見識一下，唔好就係局限於自己喺嶺南呢度。無可否認嶺南係好好嘅，但係當你見識多咗嘅時候咧，你會發覺原來呢個世界係咁廣闊、咁美麗嘅。咁其實呢個旅行咧都呢個交流咧都令到我咧認識到好多唔同嘅朋友。咁你第時周圍旅行都可以問佢哋借宿一宵嘅，係啦。咁希望呢個分享咧就到呢度啦。咁希望大家都會中意。
Okay, now I'd like to introduce Peter, who will talk to you about his experiences in post-graduate research.
Hello everyone, I'm Peter from History Department and I'm an MA student here, and I just come to Lingnan for 2 months only, as I had my undergraduate studies in Paris University. And today I'm glad to be invited to share with all of us about my life here and my research life in Lingnan. The reason for me to choose Lingnan is that because of the research interest. Because my research interest is working on the British Empire, especially in the Shanghai international settlement during 1920s and 1940s. And in Hong Kong, it's very difficult to find a good supervisor or a good professor who has the same research interest with me. And I'm very lucky that Dr. Mark Hampton in our department, he's also doing British Empire, and he's the very few scholar in Hong Kong during British Empire. And I was very lucky that he was willing to admit me as his student, his postgraduate students, so I can continue my research on the British Empire to study how the British police in the settlement, how did they arrest the Communist Party in Shanghai. And I'm currently now studying in this topic and reading so many primary sources there. And the second reason for me to choose Lingnan is also because of the studentship as well. Because every postgraduate students in Lingnan, research postgraduate students, they will receive studentship monthly. So I can have some money to spend for my expense in my life. So on the one hand, I can do my research according to my interests, but on the other hand, I also have some kind of income to support my life. So I think Lingnan is the best choice for my pursuit of postgraduate studies in Hong Kong. So let's talk about what do I do in Lingnan here, and what are my roles in Lingnan. Of course, my chief duty is to be a student, to attend some courses which is related to my research. For example, the cultural interchange between the East and the West, and this course is my course now currently taking. And apart from the course taking, I need to do research under the supervision or guidance of my supervisor, that's Dr. Mark Hampton. And I just show you some of the primary sources that I'm now currently reading. That is the Shanghai Municipal Police report, and the historians need to study the primary source, so that we need to read the papers. And I'm now reading these primary sources for my research as well. And I'm very satisfied in Lingnan because my dream in studying British Empire really comes true. And the second role for me is to teach in the class. And I am a tutor for the Common Core course this semester, and I need to lead some discussions in the tutorials. This week I've just led a tutorial on the U.S. slavery in the Common Core course. That's the World History and Civilization course, and such experience can let me to have my teaching skills, to train me as a qualified teacher, and to help me to learn how to interact with different people. And I think this experience is very valuable for me, as I seldom approach people when I was an undergraduate student, and such teaching experience really forced me to approach people, to how to interact with people, and learn how to teach. And I think this chance is very valuable as well. And the third thing I need to do is I'm a research assistant for my professor, and I need to help him to find many primary sources, or even to translate some Chinese materials into English to him. And in being a research assistant is good as well, because I can learn some research skills, and for example, I can know how to find the primary source and how to interpret it, and it's a valuable chance as well. Yeah. So our department, as introduced by Dr. David Smith, is very good. Yeah, I think in our department we offered a wide range of courses related to Chinese history, Western history, and comparative history, etc. So I'm very sure that our department can provide a good history education all of you if you choose us. And our professors are qualified as their PhD. They got their PhD from many Western countries, and I'm sure they are qualified professors as well. And we have many exchange chances, as mentioned by our undergraduate student Christy. And this year we will go to Tibet, if I didn't remember wrongly. Yeah, and our professor will offer some trip to Tibet this year. Yeah. And we are a very warm and friendly family, and the professors always cares about me and always show their concern to me. And I feel very happy and glad to stay in Lingnan as a postgraduate student. So perhaps somebody will ask, why do we need to study history? And history is boring. Maybe some people may feel like that. But as a history student, I think history can help us to build up our critical thinking, to train our skills in analyze different questions. And history department is not doing something that we just studying the source, reciting the historical events. Instead, we need to interpret the source and build up our own thinking and mind. And this really helps us it is very useful for our life, because we need to face every challenge in Hong Kong, in our daily life. It will help us to train up our mind. And studying history can also preserve our civilization, our culture in Hong Kong, as Hong Kong is very commercialized. And I think we need somebody to preserve this civilization and our culture as well. And learning from the past is also a reason, because we can prevent from making mistakes again. Yeah. So I think history is very interesting. I hope all of you will choose our course, and I hope I will see you soon. And that's all I'm sharing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christy and Peter. Does anyone have any questions about studying history at Lingnan? Okay, well, thank you very much for coming along. Have a great day. Bye.